Good morning, everybody. Let me know if you are there. Yesterday we had a workshop where we had a specific theme about the composition, and today we are coming back to one of the workshops where I will just work and talk. You are welcome to ask me questions, we'll see how it goes. And so far my idea is coming to the point that I think with some people asking me questions and other people just enjoying watching the workshops, what I'm going to do, I think that every second time I will have a class with more syllabus in it. So our next syllabus class is tomorrow night. Around 6:30 or 7, send me messages. I'll make my decision about the time, and it will be about the perspective. So quite a few people asked me a question about perspective after I taught you about the composition, which makes a lot of sense. And after we do the perspective workshop, our next one from this series will be the color theory one. Okay, so let's see what we have. So this is the piece that we finished last workshop, the day before yesterday. It's a watercolor and ink piece that's called Double Space. After this piece, I did another piece, which is called Thinking Forward. It has a face and two creatures in it, and I guess they're having some kind of conversation. And then teaching a workshop yesterday, I started a piece which has a tree in the middle. And to teach you that you should not really put trees in the middle of your pictures. So it was challenging and interesting. We fixed the composition. And then last night I actually glued a piece of some other watercolors on it, which is one of the things I often do. I slice my old work and use pieces in it. So the palette in this piece is completely different from the one we used. And I thought we will learn a lot if we just switch the palette now. So here is just an example of another painting, which is called Making a Wish, and I would consider it to be a transition between the natural palette and the yellow ones. So have a lot of golden fish, so you better make your wish. So working in natural colors is very different, and they just in a way I think more difficult. It gives us much more options. So here is a painting which is called Man with a Striped Jacket, I think. And you see it has reds and yellows, but it also has a natural color. So I thought I'll just cover all the bright colors, or the most of them, so you can see how natural colors are different just to the way they are. Okay. So today I have a few more things. So I have this whole box of watercolors, still a few tubes of thicker watercolors and gouache, white, glue stick, scissors, big brush, a few wonderful watercolor pencils, and my favorite markers. Okay, so today I will start with some water and some nice brown colors, more than one. And I will take this big brush and make my page wet. Not everywhere, but in some areas. And I'm using the same medium-sized brush that I did last time. So all I'm doing right now, I'm just applying different browns, and I'm letting them to float into each other. I will be very careful with adding more because I like what I have, so I would like to let it dry, okay? But maybe I'll take one darker color and add a few more definite lines, kind of like this one, because I really like it. Okay, so I need to give it a few minutes to dry, but right here it is dry. So I'm going to turn it upside down, maybe try to move it a little bit because I like it when it floats. It makes it very mysterious. So, and once I start doing it, I start getting more ideas on what to add. So I just will do that. Okay. And now looking at this, I'm wondering, it really looks like a landscape because of the horizon line. So why don't I make a landscape? Nothing wrong about this, right? So having a bottom like this, I'm wondering if maybe having a very different top will be an interesting idea. Very different meaning that it has no extra water, it's not really floating, it's just really flat. So let's do that. So I'll even use white for that, and I'll take a very thick, nice blue and mix it with this white. Okay, so now we really need this to dry. Wait, Diane, hi, how are you? So nice to see you. Oh my God, everybody, hi. Diane, so good to see you. Fima, Vladimir, everybody, great to see everybody. Thank you for coming, guys. So I'll set this one aside right now, and I will start working on another piece because I want this the way it is. I need it to be completely dry to come to that with my black marker. So we will work on more than one piece today. Okay. So this page is bigger and the paper is different. So the paper I was working before is a watercolor paper. This is just a heavyweight drawing paper, okay? What it means is that the water, it doesn't like water so much. It gets kind of crooked when we use water, but I do it anyway. This is an example of a piece on this paper where I actually used water, not everywhere, but just in some sections, especially in the background to make it very loose. So I'm gonna make the piece similar to the one that's here, which is the one that's made with an idea of a black outline. So I'm gonna take a black crayon or a black pencil, and I will just start moving my hand kind of like this, just for fun. And then once it gives me an idea on what it is, sometimes I'll stop, sometimes I'll not. Okay, we got the person. I hope you guys can turn your phones because it's very difficult for me to work upside down. But somebody sent me a message yesterday telling me that I really don't have to do it, that you actually can turn your phones. Okay, so here we have a person, and I will just work on this one in black and white to have a very different demo, so that it will be different. So well, here he is. He definitely has a personality. Okay, so now my idea was to make some of the sections white, some of the sections black, and some of the sections gray. And I think I'm gonna use a marker. So I have this watercolor marker, which has two ends, one like a brush, one like a sharper pencil. And they're really fun because you can just add the line, and then you take a brush and you can do just that. It washes in. Okay. what is happening with the background here is really interesting because of the way he is and because of the way his body is directed, he's really floating like this. And because of that direction, we immediately start imagining where is he gonna go next. So he's kind of dancing. I'm pretty sure that if you look at him upside down, he's dancing even more. Yeah, he does. So we have to make a decision what kind of space is he in. His space can stay completely open. That's definitely a good decision. But I just gave him a little bit of a background, which I like. And so I think that I'll leave all the white behind him white and absolutely open. And I will leave this the way it is. And maybe, I will add a little bit of shadow on this, but I'll let this dry and think about it. And now the second hand, so that hand is very, very black. I'll add a little bit of water to it. Because of the marker I used, it's a good idea. It's kind of dangerous because it can float out, but it didn't. And then once it dries, I can play more with 2D and 3D for each one of the shapes, but I for sure don't have to. I think it's interesting to keep one of these hands absolutely white, making another one absolutely black. And let's see, what do we want to do with his neck? I think that I will leave his face the way he is, maybe adding lips, but I think that this, I'd rather have dark and connected to the rest of his body. Maybe we can add a little bit of shadow, just a little. And the mouth. I really feel like making his mouth red would be really fun. And so adding red, like just the way I taught you last time, is always fun. So it's okay, let's do it. I know I said it just will be black and white, but it's okay. We can change our mind, right? So his expression really matters. He can have small mouth, big mouth, open mouth, which is really fun. But all I'm doing here, I'm just giving him a mouth. I will color it red later. And I'm gonna give him those very cute pink cheeks. I'm gonna turn him upside down, let him dry. Let's see. Well, so I'll do that for now. Let him dry, and we'll be back to our landscape. Let's dry. Okay, so there are millions of ways to approach this. One is just to work on this as in a regular natural landscape, probably turning this into a big brown field that is divided into many sections. Keeping this as a flat blue sky. This is three-dimensional, gotten enough depth in it, especially if we add a little bit of something that may just be color. Let's do that. So let's take a color. So which color would it be if we want it to be brown, but a little different? So it will be something like a yellowish brown, I would think. So I'll take a yellow ochre color and mix it on a palette. Mix it with a little bit of brown that I already used. And so this color connect my blue sky to the rest of the painting as an opposite color. So as you can see, so when I say opposite color, because of the color theory, blue and orange are opposite colors, and so blue and yellow are even more opposite from each other. So when I add a type of a yellow, which is almost even brown, because of the blue in the picture, they constantly talk to each other. And our eyes go back and forth, and so see also very well everything between them, and that makes composition usually very good, and we can look at the painting for a very long time. Okay, so in the middle it's all dry. So in this particular piece, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my favorite black marker, and I will actually start adding somebody or something into my field. Okay, it looks like I got a person trying to get out of his grave. Okay, very optimistic, but fun. Okay. So this probably will go darker once it dries. It really matters. We can make him more visible or less visible. We can dissolve him even more. But to see different options, why don't we add one more figure here? And don't let this figure to be so much dissolved into the earth as this one. So we will make it more, we'll define it much more. A very simple cat. Okay, now this cat should have some kind of shadow, so it has something to stand on. And it looks like this cat is not looking into his face, she's looking like down here. So let's help this cat, let's give her something to look at. If we want this to stay in this palette and we don't want to add any bright colors, because right now the fun and easy thing for us to do would be to add something here like a bright orange or a green ball of yarn or a red apple, something like this. That would be very easy. But let's plant some flowers there. So to plant flowers, I'll find a brown that is kind of greener than any one we have. I'll mix it on my palette. So not too bright, just some green. More like an olive green. And since it's grass and it grows, we can give him some grass too. I've been using a very big brush because I just like it. It's not really a fancy schmancy brush. It has no sharp point. It's just a brush I like. But sometimes when we come into situations like this, it's actually absolutely a good idea to have a small brush. So let's have one. I'll add some green to the green I mixed, so it will get even greener. And I'll add some grass. And I'm sure that for the composition's sake, sooner or later I'll add some green here. Okay, now guys, we need this to dry. And once we'll take it back, we'll work on his hand, probably on his other body parts, some of which may be lucky enough to get under the ground and maybe be somewhere else in the field. We'll work on his face, and of course we'll plant the flowers. But let's go back to that other guy. Okay. Okay, so let's see, what can we do? If we want him to dance, so right now I think he's jumping because there is no shadow falling from him. And if I give him some depth, if I give this room some depth, and I can even use the same gray marker that I already used before, I'll just do this and maybe just one little corner and just this, and I'll wash them. And I can give him a shadow on the wall. I think that would be really fun. So you see, because of this empty space, it looks like he's towards us. He's moving towards us. And I think because of all this darkness here now, this hand really wants to be red. So I'll let it. Okay. So this is all dry. Well, let's give him a string too. So I add the thread, and we will have red lips, pink cheeks, a red hand, cat's cradle, and a red ball of yarn. And maybe I'll sign it in red too. To turn this into a yarn, I have to let it dry. For now it's a ball. And okay, let's look careful. I think we are missing ears. Not that he necessarily should have ears, but I think it's good for him. And I think it's good to remember to give this one ear too. Okay, I can keep working on it and keep giving him more details and changing his jacket, but I'll stop here. It's very tempting for me to keep working. As I said, I actually will sign it in red. And once this dries, maybe I'll add more lines to it, maybe not, we'll see. And there he is. We will title him at the end of the class. Okay, so this is not completely dry, but it is dry enough to work in some areas. Oops, I got some green here. I don't want any green here. So this paper is thick enough and the paint was thick enough to be washed. So let this dry. I'll add maybe a little more water now in some other areas. Let it dry and add a little more blue. And here we are going back with a black pen. So this hand can stay white, but the ends of his fingers, I think it's better to have them visible. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add the black to the points of his fingers and then add a little bit of water here So it will actually look as if he's getting his hand out of from the earth. That's fun. Okay, let's take some black and make the cat a little more textured. Okay. Now to add him a mouth and maybe a few other things, I need this to be completely dry. I think I'll give him shoes. I don't want them to be too dark. I want them to be just as dark as a cat, and then maybe have a shadow. Do I want them to be that gray? Probably not. Maybe if I use a green similar to this one, just very dark, that will look very interesting because it will look as if they are growing out of there. So let's have some shoes here. Okay, let's add some water. Okay. Okay, I think we need his second hand in the picture. I want it to be very visible. Actually, you know what? Maybe instead of flowers right here, we can have his second hand. I think that's a very good idea. He can even touch the cat. Or he's trying to touch a cat. He's giving cat his hand to shake. Okay, now so what about flowers now? I think he can still be touching a flower. Well, let's make it a blue flower. Very similar to the color of the sky. And we can have these flowers in a few other places. Hi Zinman, how are you? Okay, he still needs a mouth, does he? Well, let's give him a red mouth, but don't make it too red. Let's use this as our red for his mouth. Because of how much green and blue we have in this image, it will look very red. Okay, I think that this hand needs to be very black. It's not white enough to be white, and it's not dark enough if it is dark. Okay. I think he's good to be. Like, yeah. Because this image is so narrative, I'll wait to title it. I have to think about it. I think that the surreal system that we used yesterday is very good for that guy that we did, because he's so much just like one guy. Unless we call him something to do with the red yarn, which of course is easy. Something like a red lifeline would definitely work, but let's have fun. Okay, I got Atlantic again. So I'm opening this magazine randomly, and I'm putting my finger on the sentence, and I get the sentence, held in the gym. Okay, great. So he went to the gym. Held in the gym. I think this is great for him. Doesn't look like he goes to gym that often, but held in the gym he is. And the other one we'll name next time we meet. So think about it, and maybe send me, text me, email me the ideas for how to title it, and we actually can learn a lot. If a few different people send me different titles, and I have some of my titles, we can learn a lot and have a lot of fun. Okay, so just send me a text through the Facebook and we'll work with that. Tomorrow night I'm giving a class about the perspective, with a few exercises, and if you want to take it as a class, please make sure you have scissors and glue stick and a black marker, okay, and some paper too. Okay, all right guys, see you tomorrow night. Bye.